tough for Lagno. It didn't seem after the first game, but it shows now that this is the next 15 minutes will be hard for.
Okay, I think this last game is going to be played because it started with just a few seconds on the clock, and we have another Italian on the board.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the match is equal, 4.5, 4.5, and is the last game of the 3+1 section.
Yeah, all right. So I'm being told that this last game started with 2 seconds on the clock, so it does count. Had the last game ended a little bit later, then the 3+1 portion would have come to an end. All right, so let's see. We have an Italian, or I guess it looks like a Rulo pass, and it feels like Black is doing pretty fine here.
Yes, because suddenly the knight is on a3 and not going the journey from d2 to f1, g3, but going from c4, a3, c4, e3.
Mm-hmm. All right, so h6 here by Lagno, very typical move, stopping knight g5, stopping a potential bishop g5 as well. And if Black has the time here, she would probably like to go bishop f8, followed by d4. So I like the fact that Alua is first to strike in the center with d4. Now, the last time we had a position like this, Kateryna won a crushing game with like knight d7 and bishop f6. So let's see if Alua will play better this time around.
Yeah, the c2 bishop can be a little annoying because the c8 rook is putting pressure on it. The knight on e3 is defending it. But it's not good for white that she cannot go back to the a2, g8 diagonal because of the e6 bishop. Oops, look at that. Some blunder?
I think so, yeah. Bishop f5 was a nice find by Alua, but fortunately for Lagno, she still had bishop to f6. But it does come at the cost of a pawn. Alua having some nice chances here to try to take the lead in the match. That being said, the pawn on b2 is quite vulnerable.
Yeah. Not so easy to defend that pawn.
No, not at all. I mean, okay, she goes rook a5, giving up the pawn, but she wants to pick up the b5 pawn instead. I like the idea.
Maybe bishop d4 here? But then bishop d3.
Move. Yep. All right, so she takes on b2, white takes on b5. And rook b8. I mean, Black definitely having compensation here. It's not easy for white to fully consolidate, but hey, white is up a pawn, and it's up to Black to prove the compensation. Rook d1, nice move to defend the bishop.
But it's a pawn up. I mean, maybe I'm not going to win, but it's a pawn up.
Exactly.
I don't see anything special compensation. I mean, Black is playing, but f4, king f2, h3 is also possible.
h3, nice move, creating some move for the king. Yeah, no, it's, Alua has good chance here. She's up a pawn, and Kateryna will have to defend. So knight e5 play, maybe f4 here, followed by f5 is an option.
Yeah, knight e5 is kind of a provocation, or she wants to go knight c6 and the d4 square to try to occupy that. Or she wants to simplify after f4 to go knight c4 and to play it with rook and 4 bishops.
Right, so knight c4 played. I expect a trade now. And then I'm curious to see what Alua is going to do. Is she going to play for f5 or for e5? She goes for e5. Maybe a nice idea is bishop e7, rook d8, and bishop f6.
That's a nice plan. Very good. So probably we're going to see bishop e7.
Okay, bishop e4 instead. But yeah.
Well, of course, the bishop on d6 stands very nice, but on f6 it stands even nicer. But you can regroup it anytime.
Right, and this bishop on b2, it's actually a little bit stuck here. Like, you would maybe like to reroute it to, I don't know, back to the king side, but it's not so easy. It's a little bit stuck over there. King h2, nice move by Alua, making sure there's never any checks. This looks like a very tough defensive... Wait, bishop e7 now? Because there's no rook a8.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, rook d8 and bishop 6 is a very strong threat.
But how can she defend?
Maybe you have to go for f5. Because if white takes king f7, maybe you're able to get that pawn
Rook
back.
d8. Rook d8, bishop f6. Phew.
Yeah. Now I think f5 is a must. If you allow rook d8 and bishop f6, you simply get checkmated.
That's a tough continuation to play f5, but it seems like completely the only move.
Yep. All right. She's got 35 seconds on her clock. The pressure is on Kateryna here. Let's see. She goes bishop c4 with check. I think she wants to give up the rook.
Okay, but it's not gonna be funny.
It's going to be an unpleasant defense. Okay, so let's see what Alua is going to do here. I think check is quite logical. King up. What you can also do is go for g4. And after takes, then g5 and bishop f6 to make sure that black cannot give up the exchange.
Yeah, the question is for white, what are the circumstances she wants to win the exchange?
King g7 on the board. All right. G4 here makes sense, followed by g5. Another nice move, by the way, is maybe rook c8. Great move. You can now go back to e6. As then there's bishop f6. Bishop a2. Maybe now bishop c6, cutting off the rook, setting up bishop f6.
Nice move.
Is she gonna bishop c6?
Very nice
Fantastic move.
Wow.
Lagno under tremendous pressure here. White is threatening checkmate into a bishop f6, and I don't see how you defend here. And she's got 15 seconds to figure out a defense. Take, but
very difficult situation for Lagno.
Check. You can still go for the checkmate, by the way. Rook b6. Wait. Okay. Bishop takes h4.
She could go rook b8, and she can go now rook b8. But probably bishop h4 is better. Whew.